Okay, here we go, part 2 of the Intro to 3D tutorial set here. When last we finished, we had just gone through and created the living room with the walls and the floor and the ceiling and the sofa couch. So now, what I want to do is take this couch and make a matching chair to go with it. So, what I'm going to do is go ahead and hide the layer that the walls and floor are on, and that's this layer here. If you just click that layer, it selects that layer. So you have to hold down Shift to, if you're in a different layer. If you have two layers open, you want to turn off one of them, you just hold down Shift and click that layer, and it'll leave the one that you didn't click selected. So let's go to our top view, the 7 button, and back to orthographic, the 5 button. Okay, and let's Shift D. We're going to duplicate this couch. So just press Shift D and then just move your mouse and it'll duplicate the couch. So now we'll worry about arranging it after we get it set up. So we'll go ahead and tab into edit mode. And I want to basically get rid of the seam between the middle cushion and the 2 cushions on the side. So all I'm going to do is, let's select our face select mode, and we're going to select all the faces right there. It's going to select all those faces in there. So now I'm just going to hit delete and delete those faces. And now I will just grab the edge there. Let's give the edge or the vertex select and hold down Alt and right click on the edge, and I'll select the whole shebang there. And I'll just scale it. Just hit S and then X to scale on the X-axis 0%, and we'll flatten that out. So SX0. Okay, and then we'll grab this whole side here, including the feet that we made, and we'll just drag that a little closer in. But before we get all the way there, I want to go ahead and flatten out this edge as well. So we're going to SX0 on that one as well. Okay, so you can see that's looking more like a lot more like a chair. Now, one thing you can do that makes things run a little faster, I want to select the whole mesh here that's this side, and it's separated from the middle. So I can hit Control L on my keyboard, and that will select everything that's been linked to that to the vertex that you already have selected. So Control L will select the linked. Now we can move that a little closer. Actually, it selects the links, but as you can see, it didn't select the feet, so we have to go through and go ahead and select those as well. So I'm going to move this a little closer. Okay, not all the way, because while some of the vertices will match up, some of them won't. So the ones here at the top won't. But now we can go through and kind of sew it together, and the way we can do that is we can just select each vertex that is kind of corresponding to the, to each other. The vertex on the arm portion that corresponds with the vertex on the mid section. We just, for example, just select these two here, and I'm going to hit Alt M, and that's going to bring up the merge menu, and I want to merge them at their center. So now those are glued together. That's one piece right there now. So we'll do the same thing all the way down, Alt M at center, and just keep going all the way around, merging each one of these vertices until we get all the way around the chair. Okay, so we'll don't have much on the bottom there, so we'll just rotate around to the back and center there. As you can see, we missed one there, so we'll select those guys, Alt M, and then these guys, Alt M, Alt, oops, I hit the space bar on accident, Alt M to center, there we go. And this might seem a little tedious, which it can be, but you'll get it. Alt M, Alt M, and Alt M. Repetition builds memory. So we'll just get all those working our way around. Okay. Almost there. Select, hold down Shift. By the way, if you didn't notice this already, I'm holding down Shift. Should know this already, but you hold down Shift to select multiple vertices. So Alt M. Getting close. Let's zoom in here because this gets a little overlapping in the low res mesh there. So we'll just get in there and kind of go as we can see. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so there we go. Now we have our chair that matches the same style as the couch, because in essence it is the exact same model. We've just modified it a bit. So let's modify it a little bit more, make it so it's not quite so wide. And then we'll select these guys. Just drag those in. Okay, so now we have a matching chair to go with our sofa. So let's go to our top view, and we can kind of arrange this now. I'm going to rotate it and then move it over towards kind of catty corner there. And you know what? Let's go ahead and duplicate it. Shift D. I'm going to rotate it around here. And now I want to rotate it exactly 1/2 turn. So almost, so basically it's faced the opposite direction that this one is. So if I hit the R button and hit 180, actually that just rotates it halfway around the other way. So let's just see. Let's just rotate it until it looks about right. There we go. Okay. If I would have calculated when I rotated this one, I could have perfectly duplicated that opposite rotation on this side, but I didn't. I just kind of rotated it by eye. So in any case, that'll work. So we have a nice chair there, and a chair there, and a couch in between, or a love seat, or whatever you want to call it. So there. Now if we hold down Shift and select our room, you can kind of see it's starting to come together, starting to fill it up. So the further you get skilled in Blender, you could go ahead and put a fireplace or something in the background there, or I don't know, just a fancy paper, wallpaper or something. I don't know. But anyways, let's create a coffee table now. That'll be a little easier than even the couch was. The couch might have been a little daunting, but the coffee table should be pretty easy. So let's turn the layer off that has the walls and everything. Go back to our top view and orthographic. And let's put our 3D cursor back to the center of the scene. Shift S, cursor to center. There you go. And now we're going to Shift A. And this time we're going to add a plane. Instead of a cube, we're going to add a plane. And what that does is it adds just that, a plane, which is just a single face with 4 vertices on each side. So these are made up of multiple faces, multiple squares with 4 quadrangles. That's basically exactly what this is, except it's a little bigger. So you can see it only has 1. So let's go back to our top view. We're going to scale it on the y-axis to make it a little more narrow. Okay, and then let's go to our front view, and we're going to extrude. And since everything is selected, we can extrude, and then I hit the Z button, so we go perfectly in the Z-axis, and we can bring it up, and it's kind of basically the same thing as a cube. We just didn't have to squish and stretch the cube. We just had to extrude the plane there. So, in order to get this to have some nice rounded edges, I'm going to add some... Okay, my apologies. I had a phone call I had to take, but in any case, so we add that loop and drag it over to the edge there. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now we could use the mirror modifier on this as well if you wanted to, but it's such a simple object that there's really no reason to mess with that. So okay, so we got the basis for the table laid out. Now what I want to do is kind of give this a lip on the bottom there. So I'm going to get the face select tool, and I'm going to select all those new faces that we just added in there with the loop cut tool. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude those down on the Z-axis about like so. Okay, so now we have just kind of a box shape. Now what I want to do is I'd like to steal some of these the feet that we made for the couch and stuff. I'd like to use those again, but I don't know how to get it off of there. I don't know how to copy it out of the couch. Well, that's easy to do. So let's tab into edit mode. We're going to select one of the faces there, or let's just jump to vertex select. We go Control L like we did earlier, and I'm going to Shift D, and I'm going to duplicate that foot, and then just click to just lock in the duplication, just drag it out so I can see where it's at. And now I'm going to hit the Y button. Actually, I guess it's Control Y. No? Shift Y. One of these buttons. Or is it P? There we go. Y just separates things from their individual meshes. Make sure I didn't do that on accident. No. Okay. Oh, just one thing. If you accidentally hit Z, sometimes it'll put you into wireframe view rather than the solid view that we've been in. So Control Z is the undo. So go ahead and Control L, select all of those linked vertices, and hit the P button, and that's going to bring up the separate. So we're going to separate this selection from our couch, and you can see it no longer has all the vertices and everything available because we're still in the couch. So if we tab out of the couch's edit mode, we can grab that foot, and you can see it's a very own model. Now there's two of them because it's, we duplicated from the couch, so therefore it still has this mirror modifier on it. So we don't want that. Let's go ahead and X that off, delete that. And also, since we copied it from the couch, the origin point, which is the orange dot right there, which is the rotation spot of that piece of mesh, it's still part of the couch. But that's okay because we're going to merge it with the coffee table next. So let's go ahead and get rid of the subsurf as well. And we'll go ahead and go to our top view, and let's get that lined up. Actually, we can go to our bottom view so we can actually see the lip of the coffee table that we're trying to get around here. And the way you do that, 7 is the top view, Control 7 is the bottom view. So we can kind of get an idea of where we can put it, about right there. And tell you what, let's go ahead and grab the coffee table, and we'll go ahead and add a subdivision surface modifier to it so we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit better. And it looks pretty ugly there on the underside, and that's because there's no extra loops or anything between the bottom of the top of the table and the lip there. So if we add a loop on the inside here, actually I think that added on the outside, yeah. So on the inside, Control R, there we go. We can drag that all the way up almost to the top. And then also, if we just go ahead and add a couple here, remember I just scroll my mouse wheel. After I hit Control R, I can add as many cuts, I think up to, well, quite a few. I thought it used to just be 10, but it looks like you can put just about as many as you want to now. But we don't need that many. So let's scroll all the way back down until it thins out, and let's just put 2. And then we'll kind of do like we did on the chair legs when we were creating those, and scale those on the Y-axis. So it kind of separates out, and then do the same thing on the front and back. Just put 2 of them on there. Go ahead and click this to lock it in. Scale that on the X-axis, and boom. So there we go. It's a little bit better. Let's go ahead and turn the smooth shading on. Now we'll grab that leg there, and let's tab into edit mode, and let's make it really tall because this is going to be the leg of the table, so we want it to stand up above the ground a little bit. So we'll put it up there. Then let's go ahead and move it to where the bottom of it is on that red line, which again is the floor. So there we go. And then let's tab back out, grab the top of our coffee table, and just move that up all by itself. And then we can kind of rotate around and get an idea of where that's touching. So about right there. And that should be good. So let's go to our top view, go to wireframe view so we can see the edges of everything. And we're going to go ahead and Shift D. Since we have that leg selected, Shift D duplicates, remember, and we're going to drag that on the Y-axis down to the other end. Okay, so now we have 2 legs for our coffee table. So I'm going to go ahead and select that back leg, holding down Shift, and I'm going to go Shift D again, and this time we're going to move it on the X-axis and move it all the way down to the other end. Now, each one of these legs is a separate model. You can see the rotation point, which was on the couch, but when I moved it around, it also moved. But these are all separate models, so we want to combine them all into one. So what we do is we hold down Shift and select all of the legs first, and then I want the top of the table to actually be the original base mesh, base model, the origin point and everything like that. So I select it last. So hold down Shift and select that finally. And now we're going to go Control J, and that joins everything together. So now we have, if we go back to, if you hit Z, we can go back to solid view. You can see now we have a coffee table. So we'll move that a little closer in so everyone sitting down on the chair and the couch can have use of it. Maybe we'll move these chairs a little further down so they can reach it a little bit better. Okay. So now, if we hold down Shift, we can turn on the floor and ceiling and everything and see our living room starting to take shape. Now, if you think the coffee table's a little too tall, it's easy to fix. We'll just tab into edit mode, and you can see all those legs and everything are now part of the model. We'll just grab the bottoms of those legs, or tell you what, let's just grab the top and just move it down. So maybe about right there. Just about knee height. Just high enough to bang your shin when you walk through there in the middle of the night, right? Okay. So that's that. I think that's probably good for now on the furniture. Now what I would like to do for the walls is go ahead and add a nice bay window. Not a bay window, just a a nice double window right behind the couch here. Instead of a fireplace like I mentioned earlier, we'll just go ahead and add a window there. So we'll tab into edit mode after we've selected the walls. And we're going to go Control L. You might be wondering what those blue things are. Remember, those are the normals that we turned on. We can go and turn those off now if you like. And we're going to do the same thing we did like on the legs. So we hit Control R. We'll just hit it twice. Okay, go ahead and click to lock that in. Or just click to lock in the loop. Then you got to click again to lock in the actual subdivision. We're going to scale that on the x-axis a little bit. About like so. And you can see this is where the window is going to go. So we need to add some separation on the top and bottom as well. So we're going to do the same thing there. Click that. Lock it in. Scale that on the y-axis this time. And we'll drag it up a little closer to the ceiling. Now just go to your face select tool. And we'll just select that face there. And boom. Just hit delete and say faces. So now we have a window there. Alright. So say you want to put a window frame. Well, that's easy to do also. So we'll tab back into edit mode and tell you what, let's select our vertex select and we'll select all the vertices around this window that we made. And I'm going to go Shift S and say cursor to selected. Now we've been doing cursor to center and that puts it to the center of the scene. The right in the middle of the green and red lines there in the middle of the grid. But if I go cursor to selected, it puts the cursor centered around all of the vertices or faces or edges or whatever you have selected. So you can see the 3D cursor is right there, excuse me, in the middle of the window now. So now if I go ahead and go back to front view and turn on the orthographic, we can see everything nice and flat again. I'm going to tab back out of edit mode and I'm going to Shift A and we're going to go ahead and add a cube again. And it's going to add the cube right there in the middle of the window. So that's where we want it. We're going to tab into edit mode and scale that guy way down. And then scale him on the z-axis to make him a little flatter. Then we'll scale on the x-axis to make him quite a bit longer. This is going to be the window ledge. And we can just go ahead and drag it down until it meets the bottom of that window. Okay. And I'm going to Shift D, duplicate that. And we're going to drag that up on the z-axis all the way to the top. But this time, I'm going to make it a little narrow because this is just going to be the facing. It's not going to be a ledge. So let's scale it on the z-axis a little bit to make it a little taller, about like so maybe. And then scale it on the y-axis. If we go to our side view, 3 button, you get an idea of the window sill is going to be here, or the window ledge. So we'll scale on the y-axis a little bit and make that a little bit more like a crown molding type of thing. So I want to give these nice beveled mitered edges. So I'm going to just select the bottom vertices on both the front and back. So go back to front view. So we're just going to scale that until, if we zoom in, we can see the line here, and you can see it's not anti-aliased. So we can see once we get it to a certain point, it should be a straight line again. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but the jagged edges, we can get it fairly close, and then we can fix it if we need to. So let's put it about, okay, that looks about right there. So if you can see, this now kind of looks like a straight line, whereas if it's right here, you see all these little jagged edges, the little pixels. So let's undo that. So okay, so I'm going to Control L once again, and we'll select all of that facing that's selected there, and we're going to Shift D, duplicate that down, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. There we go, and you can probably tell what this is going to be. It's going to be the side facing of the window. So there we go. Come down here, and I want to take this beveled edge off, this mitered edge. So I'm going to select that again, SZ, scale it on the Z-axis, 0%. And we'll drag that back up and have it rest right there on top of that ledge. Okay, so now we need to have one on the other side. So Control L, Shift D, and we're going to drag this one over. So just, oops, hit the G button on accident, escape that out. So we'll just drag it over manually. And now I want to flip it around, and there's two ways we can do this. We can mirror it. We can mirror it by scaling it X. Instead of scaling on the X-axis 0%, we're going to go -1%, and that's going to scale it -100%, which essentially flips it inside out. So we do that, and then we would have to flip the normals because it flipped it inside out basically, and the normals are now facing the inside. So we go Control N, and it makes the normals consistent. So that's what we could do. Or if you wanted to, you could rotate it 180 degrees on the Z-axis, and it would do the same thing. Or you wouldn't have to flip the normals this time. It would just rotate the actual piece. But since we already flipped the normals, we'll just use those and just move it over until it meets the edge there. And maybe we'll select that ledge on the bottom, Control L, scale that a little bit wider. So there we go. So now, if we go back to our perspective view, you can see we have a nice window and a window ledge. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for the second section. In the third section, I guess we can go ahead and add the glass to the window and then the pane separators, and maybe we'll add a door also. But that's going to be it for this second part, and I'll see you in the third part.